Welcome back to Mind Your Biz. My name is Seth, and in today's Creator Highlight episode, I have the great pleasure and honor to speak with the spiciest voice in crypto. You might know her as Miss Teen Crypto, but we've now come to know her as the one and only Randi Hipper. Randi, welcome to Mind Your Biz.
Thank you so much for having me, Seth. This was a long time coming. I know you were on my channel before. I'm happy to be on yours and just get to hang out again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great time. You're a media trained personality who's been such a force for good in the industry, in my eyes. The work you're doing is so important that I had to have you on the channel and talk to you about what you've been doing since we last spoke and kind of what's coming up for you. And I know that the audience, anybody who watches your media, it's magnetic. They wind up coming back because they love hearing that balance between you understanding what matters culturally to Gen Z, but also understanding from a very fundamental level how blockchain actually works. So you're a true educator. Really, it is a pleasure to have you on the channel. So thank you for making time for this. But enough about me talking about you. I'd love to hear from you. Who the heck is Randi Hipper in 30 seconds or so?
So I created this back when I was 17. I'm now 21. So I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary being in this space. Overall, I do intro to crypto, 1 to 2 minute videos. I have a daily podcast Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m., covering daily crypto news. I also have the Randi Hipper show that's over 3 years old now with the top minds in crypto that have joined me, including Seth. And then I go to schools. I do intro to crypto classes, not only for middle schools, high schools, and colleges, but also for adults. I was one of the first creators to mint NFTs back in 2020. And I was also doing on the street interviews back in December 2020, asking strangers if they know about Bitcoin. My overall goal since I got in this space has remained the same, which is to spread Bitcoin and crypto adoption to the billions of people that have yet to enter the space.
Amazing. And this is what I think most people who've been watching your trajectory and that hard work coming into the space have come to know you for. I mean, your mark is indelible. So yeah, regardless of which direction you go in the future, like your place in the history books of crypto is absolutely secure. Let's talk a little bit about though your former life before crypto, because as you mentioned, 4 years ago, you started with that brand, Miss Teen Crypto. It was a solid brand. It served you very well. You had to make that jumping off point because I know the jokes write themselves, right? They're like, hey, aren't you 20 years old? How do you call yourself a teen? I mean, I know. And hey, Randi Hipper is what the world needs. So it's great that that's your brand right now. But before the brand to Randi Hipper as that voice of crypto, and before Miss Teen Crypto, who was Randi back then? Really? I mean, what kinds of things were you interested in? What kinds of things occupied your time, attention? What were the things that you were passionate about before you got into crypto in this way?
Well, I got into crypto really early. My dad was telling me about Bitcoin in 2016 when I was 13 years old. So I kind of grew up with Bitcoin, and middle school, high school, I was always hearing about Bitcoin. And, what I was really up to was just being a nerd. My entire life, I was getting like the student of the month. I was like, doing all these advanced classes. I was a year ahead in a lot of things in school. I was taking college classes for psychology for 2 years before I graduated, English credits, math credits. So I was just really ahead. I was really a go-getter and a total nerd. Like I said, my overall average for the 4 years of high school was like a 97, if that gives you any idea of how into school I was. I was doing tutoring. I had some businesses going on. I was also a part-time dental assistant right as I entered crypto. So I was really busy. Through high school, I played softball. I was a cheerleader. And then around COVID, I obviously had to pivot, and I just fell into my nerdism even more, which led me to Miss Teen Crypto because I created that when I was a junior in high school. So just overall nerd, loved school, loved helping people. I always said good morning to people in the morning, which is why I tweet Good Morning Crypto Twitter. And, I just really love what I do. I love spreading positivity. So that's what I was really all about then. I was even doing a lot of charity work in high school, where one of my favorite things was the Christmas cabaret, where we would have at the school this whole Christmas party and bring in all the elderly homes from nearby and just give them a dinner, a dessert for Christmas, because a lot of them didn't have families that even cared about them, which was so sad. So I love doing things like that, just like heart to heart, boots on the ground type work.
Yeah, that's amazing and absolutely inspirational. And so it kind of tracks with the brand that you created for yourself, where you can't fake that over a period of years. You can fake that for maybe a quarter. You can fake that for a couple of media appearances, but you can't fake that over an extended period of time. And so that tracks as to who you really are in your heart of hearts. So thank you for sharing that background. That to me, it really informs, why we have the Randi that we have today. Who gives the way that she does. So that's awesome. Thanks for informing us there. I'm curious though. You mentioned that kind of having that early exposure to Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, that your dad was a huge positive influence for you at that time, which I'm sure, like everything you mentioned, also, it does speak to really good parenting and a really great family environment. So I'm sure that we also have getting to know you and the way that you've brought yourself into this ecosystem and continue to give, you must come from a phenomenal family culture. So kudos to your family as well. Just want to throw that out there. Not taking anything away from you at all. Just saying that, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You must come from good stock to be interested in those things. I'm curious though, when you decided, like you mentioned, COVID happened, you were like, you know what? We're going to do this thing because what else am I doing with my time? Like, everything's shut down. What are you going to do here? But there's got to be more to the story than that. There was a point of no return for you, I'm sure, a point of crisis where you were forced to make a decision. Like, either I work with this thing called crypto, capital C crypto, or, Bitcoin, whatever it is you were starting with at the time, or I continue down the other path that I was on. Why crypto? What made it so heavy? What made you decide that it was an existential thing, that you had to pursue crypto and that you had to make this brand? What did that look like for you?
It was kind of itching me, Seth. It's so funny because, my dad, like, I literally thought he was crazy for years. Like, why are you leaving your house and going and meeting people you met off the internet and flying all over the place, driving up to all these places from New York to Philadelphia, like all these things? I was so confused. And then by the time I was 16 in 2019, we did our first Bitcoin transaction, and it made so much sense to me. You scan a QR code, you copy and paste an address. That I could go into a store and not have to do the whole fiat transaction, because people my age, penny, nickels, dimes, they're basically worthless. No one carries them around. No one wants to use them. Some people throw them in the trash can because, listen, that's the reality. No one wants to carry cash on them. So I just thought this was a pivotal way to transact. It was going to change the world. I then saw that I had money in my bank account, and I was learning about Bitcoin and the appreciative factor, finite supply, all that good stuff. And I was like, wow, so I could be my own bank, and my $300 like I had in my savings account is still $300 losing purchasing power, and I could put that in Bitcoin. So that was another lightning moment for me. And then, like, pun lightning network. So then I moved on, and I was kind of sitting in school, and I was talking to my friends, and I was like, there was a news network at the time in my school, and I was like, I really want to do the news network, but I was getting bullied a lot in high school, and people thought I was like, obviously that nerd in the corner. So I got made fun of a lot, and they were like, don't do that. You'll get made fun of even more. You'll get trashed. And I was like,
right.
Okay.
You have the thought bubble, like, they don't know that I understand about Bitcoin. They're like, yeah, we do, nerd. Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, whatever. So I was asking them, I was like, so do you think I should do like a YouTube channel or something on Bitcoin? And they were just looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, you know what, if they think I'm crazy, that's amazing, because they already think I'm crazy. Like, let's add this on top of it and just go full on like nuts online. So I didn't really like have any expectations really when I started Miss Teen Crypto. The kind of the day that led up to that, I remember it clear as day. I woke up and I looked at my dad, like I came out of my room and I looked at my dad. I said, Miss Teen Crypto. And he was like, what is that? And I said, I just thought about that. Like, I woke up, like, I think it was like a dream or like, some sort of whatever moment I had. And I woke up and I said, Miss Teen Crypto, like, that's going to be my handle. And I sat on that for about like 3-4 hours, and it was COVID lockdown. So I went to the park to be outside, and it was just a ghost town. Things were so sad. And I was like, you know what? I love crypto. I was using kind of my school Twitter account to like follow some people, but I really wanted to take that next step. So I just opened my phone. I opened Twitter and I saw Miss Teen Crypto was available, hopped over to Instagram, saw it was available, Snapchat, Gmail, YouTube, like all these things. And I was like, if you're Gen Z, you understand having the same username, and especially you being a content creator is so important. And I was just like, you know what, this is kind of my sign, especially I was still young. I was 17. I didn't really want to put my name out there yet. I wasn't sure what this was going to turn into. So I just started tweeting simple things. My first tweet is on my highlights tab on X. You can scroll down and see it, that all I was wanting to do was like, hey, this is the official account of Miss Teen Crypto. I just want to spread Bitcoin and crypto adoption. And I started doing like little good morning crypto Twitter tweets. I was really the first one to do that. Then other accounts that were bigger than me said good morning and like, GM. And so I thought that was really funny how that caught on. I was doing little videos like, good morning crypto Twitter, happy Saturday. What are you buying today? Really simple things. And then things kind of escalated. By November 2020, I was minting NFTs. By December 2020, I was on the streets of Manhattan asking strangers if they knew about Bitcoin. All of a sudden, I'm getting calls from New York Times, Business Insider. By the time I was 18, I was on Fox Business for the first time. So things just really started changing for me at a rapid pace. And I was like, wow, like if people understand me, maybe I'm not so crazy. And maybe I found, my tribe, like your vibe attracts your tribe type thing. So I just really fell in love with the movement. I loved what it felt like to be able to put a message out and feel good about it. That I know how a lot of people my age use social media, and it's in the wrong way, especially girls. They kind of put themselves out there in a way that, like, maybe they want to put themselves out there, but sometimes I feel like, especially growing up in social media, you feel like you have to post certain types of things. And I just kind of wanted to show that, like, we could do something without having to be, promiscuous, or, just be yourself, and people will like you for you. And even though I felt the opposite in real life, where I felt like people didn't like me for me, I felt that online. And I just really kind of went with that and fell in love with it and just created content. And now everything I've done has kind of been a progression, where I started the Miss Teen Crypto Show, now the Randi Hipper Show, educational content, going to schools, and, the Daily Zest that I do now that's over a year old. Just nuts. But leading up to that moment was so important because I just wanted to spread love, man.
That's amazing. Okay, so it sounds like for you, it was not so much just like a point of no return, or like a very weighty moment of crisis, as much as almost like a vision that you woke up from, where you're like, nope, I can kind of see the end from the beginning right now. This Miss Teen Crypto thing is going to be kind of dipping the toe in the water, but then you got the validation. And kudos to you for mentioning. I don't want to turn this into some kind of like a debate or talk about like culture, but kudos to you for mentioning that. Yeah, social media does ask a lot of young people to go for the short sale, and they don't understand they're selling themselves short. That there's a very short expiration date on certain kinds of self-representation online, and how it can really cause trouble later on in life. So kudos to you for taking the long view, and being about a message, being about something bigger than yourself. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really, really great. Yeah, no, again, totally earned. You've probably heard it from plenty of people. You probably don't need to hear it from me, but as a father with kids who are going through the trenches, right, of their teenage years, like, more people that are close to your age really need to see that you can have a message, and it doesn't have to be about like, okay, well, what do I do to make the cool kids like me?
Yeah.
You know what? They're not going to be so cool in 5 years. After high school, it totally changes. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
But you have a bunch of people reaching out. Your DMs are blowing up from people you knew in high school, aren't they? Like, totally.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like they don't want to, but they feel like they have to, because who else do they really know that's into crypto, like, as deep as I am? And also, like, they saw me, like, start, and then to where I am now. And even I went back to my former high school. I was teaching there for the third year in a row. And I was there, like, I think it was just over 10 days ago. And I had teachers coming up to me like, oh, you're here for the Bitcoin thing again. I was like, yeah. And they were like, wow. And I was like, remember I told you about Bitcoin when it was $7,000? And they were like,
you had to hit him with that, didn't you?
because they brought it up. They were like, how's the Bitcoin thing? I was like, yeah, it was $7,000. And at the time, now it's 60,000. But at the end of the day, I was like, have you gotten in yet? Have you researched? Because I'm not asking anyone to buy anything. I never do. And I was like, have you researched like what this is yet? And they're like, yeah, it's really making sense. I just don't know how to buy it. And I'm like, okay, then like, let me know. I'll help you and all that stuff. But yeah, like, definitely the teachers coming up to me like, oh, she's back. Like,
That's amazing. Well, for some reason, I thought that it might be more like some of your peers that were starting to reach out. I mean, so
sometimes,
sometimes,
okay. Kids are stubborn.
Yeah, well, they will be for another couple of years. Life needs to give them another couple lessons at the end of a 2x4, I think. And you're only a couple of years away from that really happening, I think, in larger numbers. Just my personal prediction for your peer group from high school, and some of these people who I think maybe went out of their way to make you feel less than back there. I'm not saying that there's
out of their way isn't the word. Out of their way isn't the word.
Yeah, it's
social media is dirty. That's why, like, you have kids growing up. Just tell them to be nice. Don't post anything you don't want your parents to see. I think that's probably the best thing that my aunt told me. Don't ever post anything you don't want me to see. And I was like, you know what? That's facts. Because it doesn't matter if something deletes or it disappears after. No. It's there. Someone saved it. It's in a server. Stop the madness. Control children.
Absolutely. Yeah, not the least of which are probably some 3-letter organizations stateside that are hoping to try to give you a little gotcha, right, when it comes to crypto content too. So strange, interesting times. Everyone's grandmother got what she wanted. We're all living through interesting times. So yeah. So on that note, let me just briefly pull up. This is the Randi Hipper website. It forwards to missteencrypto.com right now, but as I understand it, at some point in the future, there will be a redesign. It will be entirely randihipper.com and entirely rebranded. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, we're good.
It's still pretty great, right? Smiling mug right there, helpful links, all the socials right there. And then I pulled up a couple of those. I took the liberty of seeing it looks like on X currently, you're just knocking on the door of like 90,000 followers. We've got a ton of people, mutuals right here, over 500 mutuals, because we're both very active in crypto. And so everybody who I know in crypto who's relevant knows and follows you. So anybody who's watching right now on the Mind Your Biz channel, this is the high sign. Clearly, Randi is somebody to watch over on X if you're active there. And then over here on YouTube, you've been putting in the work, and it shows. You have all kinds of really great guests here, right? Dom, actually, I saw him just over at Denver. Literally, it almost ran directly into him in the hallway.
He's very
there.
shiny.
yeah. He's very aerodynamic too. Yeah, we flock together. Yeah, that's the thing about guys who've just given up.
He's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
he's funny.
He's doing great work though. But you do a lot of these high profile interviews. You do a lot of really great updates on now at this point with the live streams. You mentioned earlier on, and it was a very tactical blurb that you gave me, in the full verbal rundown. Thank you for that. But as it is right now, what made you decide to start going into the more regular live streams in addition to some of these interviews that you do?
So I think the most important thing with what I've done is that if I'm going to do something, it has to be consistent, and I have to know I can do it, right? So when I first started off with tweeting, I had to know I can handle tweeting every day. And then I was like, okay, I could tweet every day. Now let's try some on the street interviews, see how that goes. And then by 3 years ago, so just over a year probably or less of being on X, I just started the Missing Crypto show. And I was like, okay, let me try to interview someone 1 to 4 times a week. Let me see if I can do that. And I did. And then I started the 1 to 2 minute intro to crypto videos, just start sprinkling other things along the way. And then I was like, you know what? Bitcoin was around $15,000. It was the bottom of the last cycle with Bitcoin. So I was like, okay, you know what? Everyone's sentiment is so bad right now. I don't like that energy. So I just wanted to come on and be positive and be like, listen, the news is still here. Bitcoin still works. The blocks are still blocking on the chain, and just spread that love. So I just started doing it. It started off as the weekly Zest. So I was only going to do it on Mondays. And then I was like, let me see if I can handle weekly. And I did. And I was like, okay, let's try Monday to Thursday. And the sentiment was there. The zest was there. Everyone from the community was tuning in. So, and I saw it was building. So I was like, let's try Monday to Friday and see if I could stay consistent. And I have. So now we're almost 400 episodes in, and we're just grinding away with our whole hearts. So everything I do is consistency. And I just wanted good sentiment and people to get real news, because I feel like a lot of people do cover news, but I'm deep diving. I'm going into these government documents. I'm really exposing what's going on in the space, good and bad, and I'll talk about it all.
That's amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So yeah, so we want to take a look at some of the highlights there. Now you mentioned, we went over the channel at this point, and you mentioned adding some of the content, having the live streams, doing the formats, just adding and adding, figuring out, okay, how can I create more value for people who are interested in hearing from Randi about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Even just the name, the weekly Zest, right, or Zest and Zesty. These are terms that we've come to really expect from you. It's a great adjective, first off. And I've noticed you've painted your backdrop orange. This has to be related. For those of us who haven't mastered the culinary arts, first off, explain to us, what the heck is Zest, Randi? So, what even is Zest?
Of course, I didn't create the word zesty. We all know that. Gordon Ramsay would say it quite often. But, I think zesty in my kind of terms, how I go about it, is something so awesome. There's no other way to describe it as zesty. It's just popping. And this wall, actually. So my dad was a carpenter, painter, all the good things. And so when we first moved into this apartment, he was the building just let him paint the walls. And he just decided this color. And it was around 2016 when we moved in here. So it was just really funny that at the time he was getting into Bitcoin, he's painting the walls orange. And then, I even had a green screen over this wall up until my birthday, February. So I just dropped the green screen and I put these on the wall, my pieces of art. And I was like, you know what, this is so much better. And I think it just worked out. The set worked out. And like I said, everything's a progression. I'm figuring things out. I wasn't media trained. I'm not, I didn't go through production school or whatever, broadcasting school. I just, was kind of going and building as I went. So this was kind of part of that. This painting I got a few years ago in the city. This guy's into NFTs. This guy, Do What You Love artist, Sergey, he's actually into NFTs. I helped him create one of his first NFTs. And then this is a Peter Max painting, but all about life, liberty, and property.
That's amazing. Okay, so I was kind of fishing for an answer there, just to say so from a culinary perspective, you know what zest is, right? Physically what it actually is.
Yeah. Of the lemon, you zest up the lemon.
Yeah, but it's not just lemon. You can do orange zest too. So I just thought it was really interesting. I wasn't sure it was related to Bitcoin, and you're like, you know what, zesty. It's kind of it's not the pith. It's not the main piece of the orange itself. You're just kind of carving out the edges and giving people just a little taste so they can go explore for themselves, take off that peel, and dig in for themselves. That's kind of where I kind of envision.
To me, it's an explosion. To me, it's an explosion.
All right.
Zest everywhere, rain everywhere. Just embrace it all. It comes from within, Seth. It comes from
There you
within.
go. There you go. There you go. But that's awesome. Now I see that in the set right now. You got away from the green screen. It's all orange back there. So it made me feel like,
Thank
okay,
God.
you are literally surrounded by zest at this point. Like you said,
Yes.
it's an explosion that has totally coated the walls in orange zest. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just figured I'd make that observation. I think it's a great move for you. And I think there are very few people who can pull it off because orange is a very, very shocking and divisive color. Actually, when it comes to set design, very shocking and divisive. You have to be able to keep that energy up at this level all the time when you're on an orange set. I think there's only one person that can really do that. I think she's one of the two people on this this video right now. So that's amazing. Yeah. So anyway, we've talked a little bit about what you've done so far, kind of the journey at this point. I'm curious to know though, Randy, for you, in your mind, what are the highlights? What are the milestones, the things that just for you are very personally gratifying? Other people might look at your success or the journey so far and say, yeah, that's a measure of success. You were on this show here. Clearly you've had TV appearances. You've done the person on the street interviews. You've been able to do a lot of education. But what are the things that for you are most personally like, yeah, that I'm going to look back on that 5 years from now, and I know I'm still going to feel very happy about that.
Wow, there's just so many of those. I think, the children, like I get emotional even thinking about it. The children, the amount of kids that have approached me and like their parents and like just getting DMs. Like I'm like, handing out NFTs to all these parents that like, are hitting me up, sending pictures of like their 7-year-olds, their 3-year-olds, 10-year-olds. There's a 10-year-old moderator in my YouTube chat. Like, just having these little kids like reach out and be like, we love you. Like, and like they love the content that they're learning about Bitcoin from like me. Like I just, that to me is everything. That I went to my first conference that like I was speaking at, Miami Crypto Experience, like 3 years ago. And I remember that I did like a Bitcoin 101. There was like a bunch of like different ages there. I taught a middle school class that day. And there, like after I finished my presentation, there's this dad that comes up to me with his daughter and he's like, that she wanted to meet you. She was a freaking 15-year-old girl from New Jersey that flew to Miami to come meet me and listen to my class. And that's something I'll never forget. Just things like that, just like direct impact, like just the love, like my first conferences, just meeting people and, wow, like that alone, like that just means everything to me. And, yeah, just the children, man. The children are everything. Going to schools, like the first time I taught a class, that meant so much to me because that meant that like, like I said, like I wasn't crazy. I was able to help. I was able to educate. That's all I ever wanted to do was help people and change the world. And I felt like, doing those classes was like that first step of like getting me there. And yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing for me.
That's amazing. Okay, so yeah, it seems like again this seems totally true to what I know of you and the experience that I have of you, and I think the experience a lot of people have of you, and what you mentioned earlier, where it seemed like the all education that is meaningful, I think, is always personal, and it sounds like you're just continuing in that mode of like, okay, how can I make the most impact at the most impactful phase of somebody's journey, and that inevitably it does lead towards younger and younger people who need to know earlier. Let's be honest. The American education system has been failing young people for a while. So yeah. So this is awesome. It's awesome that you're getting that kind of response and that you're still interested in reaching out at that level because you're going to change some lives. You really are. Just hearing that's where the message is resonating for sure. So let's talk just briefly about a couple things. First off, Solana, is it a rug? No, I'm totally kidding. Let's not go there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there at all because we all know the answer. Let me stop. But as far as like crypto opinions, I'm just gonna save it. Anybody who wants to know your opinion, obviously, I think they should go sign up to all of your socials right now and just pay attention to what you're saying. Right. You're not making any secret of your opinions there. So we're not going to talk about that for right now. And I don't do ephemeral news. That's not what the MineYourBiz channel is about anymore. So yeah, we'll leave that alone. But I'm curious for you, upcoming big dates as it is right now. We're recording in late April. We'll say this interview is going to release sometime in early May 2024. Yeah. What are some dates that you're excited about? It could be personal appearances at trade shows. It could be something that you're working on. It could be an NFT project, like you mentioned before, where you're helping to kind of debut an artist in their digital journey with digital assets as NFTs. What are some things that have you really excited that you can share right now?
that I could share. One thing that I'm going to is a Litecoin Summit, July 24th to the 25th in Nashville, Tennessee. If you guys want a link to it, it's under my Daily Zest videos. You guys could just click that link. It's $84 a ticket. It's 2 days, right along with the Bitcoin conference, same week. So that's where I'm appearing if anyone wants to come meet me IRL. Mostly, I'm just all over the place. I freaking love what I do. Every single day I wake up, I'm so motivated to get out of bed and do this. So I look forward to every single day. Like I said, Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. for the Daily Zest. I'm absolutely loving doing that show. That's just been my fire right now, and just focusing on that, expanding that, and honestly just spreading adoption. I'm working on going to some more colleges and doing maybe some virtual or in-person appearances, doing more education. So those are things I'm looking forward to, but don't have any exact dates at the moment. But constantly working on that education. That is my forefront. That's what we need in this space. And that's what I think that we're missing right now.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing a bit with the Mind Your Biz audience and community. So those are some upcoming dates that you're excited about. Litecoin Summit sounds like if you're already going to be in Nashville for the Bitcoin conference, right? Or Bitcoin Nashville. I guess they're fully rebranding. I'm going to miss Miami as the place where it happens, but Nashville is great too. But if you're already in town, it sounds like why not just go? It's really inexpensive. And the link that you mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and take some liberties here. I'll just copy your link and paste it under this video when we release it. So it's easier. If you're already here, just click that, and then you can go see Randy in person there. But I'm curious, as far as other links, some things you're excited about, are there any causes or any other places that you would like the Mind Your Biz audience to go on the internet? And when they get there, what would you like them to do?
You guys should follow me at Miss Teen Crypto on all my socials: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter/X, YouTube, Threads, everywhere that you are, I am as well. Also Facebook. I do multi-stream to X, YouTube, Kick, Rumble, Twitch, and a few other things. So if you guys are on any streaming platforms, you'll find me there as well. And overall, I just want to spread adoption. I want to educate people. I want to bring people into this space. I want to make impact. I never want anyone to feel pressured to come into crypto. What do I buy? What do I sell? It's not about that. It's about you entering and opting out of a system that's about control and opting into a system that's about freedom of choice. You're choosing to enter crypto. You're choosing to buy Bitcoin or exchange your dollars for Bitcoin and take self-custody and be your own bank. If there's anything I could advertise for, that's it. Be your own bank. Fundamentals over pumpamentals every single day. And I really thank you for having me, Seth, because without people like you, I wouldn't be at where I'm at right now. And I wouldn't be able to have the zest that I do without you. So I really do appreciate you. And I appreciate your audience. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure again, and being able to see how you've how it's been a meteoric rise, and I just don't see it stopping. You're putting into work, so it's a pleasure to have you on as well, folks. That's the show today. Thank you again, Randy, and I can't wait. I might just see you in Nashville, but who knows? Maybe I'll see you sometime before then. Really excited about that. All right, audience. As you already know, I love your face. Stay private. Mind your biz. Bye.
Fire.